the SAFE Act to talk about now, with the governor vetoing what the lawmakers banned. How do you feel about the ban in Arkansas? What would you do as governor when it comes to trans rights and keeping kids safe?
So here's the bottom line. When it comes to trans rights or women's rights or ethnicities, any of that, you cannot allow someone to quibble over the value of another person. Mm-hmm. Trans rights are human rights, plain and simple. If you even engage in the debate over whether or not someone else is entitled to rights, you've automatically let the other side win because you've entertained the notion that they are somehow lesser than you in worth. And if you instigate that another person is lesser in any amount, you've already determined that you can quantify a human being, and that's just not the case. So I'm in favor of trans rights. All of the arguments that I've heard for, we have people with all these things about bathroom checks and all this kind of stuff. We already had terms for that, and that's criminals. That's not trans people. That's not, it is a straw man, boogeyman argument that is trying to take political advantage of something that is simply not factually happening. It's not impactful. And instead, the negative impact that it has by not allowing them access to trans-affirming healthcare or gender-affirming healthcare and not allowing them that access is massively detrimental. So for me, it's a no-brainer. I was at the courthouse when they had the ruling on it, when they upheld that you had to have the rights. I cheered it on then. I will continue to cheer it on. We do not quibble on human rights.
Then let's transition into abortion. Arkansas has one of the strictest abortion laws. Mm-hmm. How would you change that?
Again, I am a staunch supporter of rights, and that includes women's rights. Bodily autonomy when it comes to reproductive rights for women should be unassailable. We've had this discussion, and I understand that our society is always a work in progress. Our Constitution was a living document. It's meant for us to have these kind of debates, but again, you do not assail someone's right to their own autonomy. You do not ascribe more rights to a dead person than you do to someone that's living.
What is one question you would ask all the candidates running against you?
The one question I would ask them is can you tell me what you are going to do? Not what your policy is, not what your catchphrase is, what are you going to do? The fundamental action. I do my best, as I have here or with anyone, to give direct answers to any question. And frequently the one answer that people don't want to give is, I don't know. Because they feel like that's a failing on their part. I don't know is not a failing. I don't know is an opportunity to find a solution and to learn and to grow as a person, as a community, as a society. Our leaders aren't supposed to be hyper-specialized in the way that we think about it. They're supposed to be people who have a broad range and that understand where their shortcomings are. What specialist do I reach out to find out about this? Who do I need to consult with? We need that. We need leaders that are humble enough to understand their own shortcomings and know how to work with someone else for the benefit of all. So that would be my question to them is, what are you going to do when faced with a situation that you don't know what to do?
You have 15 seconds to make a last-minute pitch to voters. I know that's going to be hard. What would you say?
My 15 seconds?
15 seconds.
If you're already voting, get someone else to vote. Register somebody else. We have the worst voter turnout in the entire nation, and nothing is going to change unless everyone gets up and gets engaged. So that would be my one statement.